Hello there, greater internet population. It's me, your good buddy Uncle Ben.
Me, Hollywood Steve.
Together we combined make the force that is known as Dead and Lovely, and we're here to tell you guys in the month of September 2019 what 3 movies you are to be watching on that wonderful Shudder streaming service.
If you don't have Shudder and you like horror, you need to get Shudder.
I was thinking you're going with You Might Be a Redneck again. We just keep that rolling.
Also.
You might be a redneck.
You might be a redneck.
Alright, Steve, up first on our list is a movie that I have heard reviewed as it's a movie that you want to watch just so that you can listen to episode number 68 of our award-deserving podcast.
That is true.
Definitely.
It's pretty obscure and people really only got into it, I guess, when we talked about it, right?
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, it's a little thing from the 70s called the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Student film.
We're really trying to do this movie and Toby Hooper kind of a favor and help put him on the map, you know, kind of like what Post Malone recently did for Ozzy Osbourne.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Helping the old man.
Ozzy? I thought it was Ozzy.
Yeah, it's Ozzy
Osbourne.
Osbourne or something like that, I'm pretty sure.
Never heard of him. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's a classic, obviously. We're being a bit facetious over here.
Oh, you kid.
What are the big parts of Texas Chainsaw Massacre? We've got Sally. We've got the meat hook.
That's one of my favorite characters, that meat hook. If you don't know about this movie, once again, you might be a redneck.
You might be a redneck.
Obviously.
That's true.
But it is one of the greatest horror films of all time.
Yeah.
It is just one of the most depraved, shocking, grueling flicks I think that I've about ever seen. Like, the first time that I watched this movie, I just felt physically ill afterwards. I felt like I wanted to take a shower.
Yeah, it's not a happy movie. It's one of them horror movies.
Like to hear about. A horror masterpiece. A lot of times you hear about people talk about these, you know, classic horror films that are a piece of cinema history, and you go back and watch them and you're like, it kind of sucks though, it's boring.
Yeah,
you know?
especially in the 70s, it could get real slow and stuff. Yeah.
This is not one of those cases.
No.
I mean, even if you're just kind of just now getting into horror movies and stuff and you want to dip your toes into some of the classics, this is one that has everything it needs to keep up with everything that's come after it. Still one of the all-time heavyweight champs of horror film. You know, Steve, one of my favorite toppings on top of vanilla ice cream is Heath Bars. Maybe I want to watch a movie that has the word Heath in the name.
Yeah, there's a little movie about a group of girls who really love Heath Bars, I think, called The Heathers.
The Heathers, it's called, from 1988.
There's no the, and it's Heathers.
Oh, Heathers, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's close enough. It's close enough. It passes the test.
Yeah.
This is a crazy, weird movie.
It's got some horrific shit in there.
Some pretty fucked up stuff in that movie, and you could not make it today. Somebody tries to like blow up a high school.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore.
Yeah, it's got some stuff that you just couldn't get away with anymore. As well as having Winona Ryder.
Yeah.
And Christian Slater.
Yeah, tons of just young hunks and foxes all over this film.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that's really kind of hard to define as far as like, is it a comedy, is it a horror? But I know that after I watched it for the first time, I was left feeling just weird and confused.
Yeah.
It was not at all what I was expecting, and it was way darker and more macabre than what I was anticipating.
Yeah, I think it would also have been horror for parents of the time.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. All right, Steve, I'm at somewhat of a crossroads of my life. I find myself in this phase where I'm extremely fascinated by men with beautiful mustaches.
Oh yeah?
And I also found myself just fascinated by wizards of gore, but I don't know where to see a wizard of gore that has a giant, beautiful mustache. What do I do?
Ben, Tom Savini is here to save the day.
He's the wizard of gore and he has a gorgeous stash.
That's true.
What can I see him in?
Man, you could see Tom Savini in a number of movies, but there's one that I watched recently that is on Shudder that needs to be seen by all horror aficionados.
Okay, tell me about it. What it is?
It's a movie that was shot in 1978 but wasn't released until 2005. It's called Effects.
Effects. I have no idea what this is. I've never even heard of it.
It is a meta horror movie about a horror movie being made. And Tom Savini is in it and doing the effects, both for the movie, in the movie, and the movie itself.
Inception.
I don't want to talk too much about the plot because it needs to be experienced. It's so interesting. I think it's ahead of its time, but it's also a really good brutal horror movie.
This sounds like it's kind of like New Nightmare, but like 20 years before New Nightmare.
Yeah, it's exactly. Yes, it's got that New Nightmare feel to it for sure.
Color me interested.
But take out all the dream logic and Freddy stuff and make it, just real people.
More mustache as well.
Yeah, more mustache for sure. Why doesn't Freddy grow a mustache?
I would like to
cover
see
some
that.
of that burn, right?
I'd want to see the mustache and like a soul pet.
Yeah, just a
little bit. Just
Don't
a little
say
bit.
it. There's currently an executive at New Line who's like, that's a good idea.
You know what?
Also, Ben, this month on Shudder, a Creep Show anthology show will be premiering on September 26th, I believe. And let me tell you, I'm excited about it. I love anthology horror. It's so fun. The idea that Greg Nicotero is working on this is really cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, a student of the Wizard of Gore.
Exactly. So
dang.
There's a lot that interests me there, and I believe Tom Savini is supposed to direct an episode.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been seeing the cast is leaking out, and there's like a lot of big names from horror and stuff that are acting in it. Of course, obviously, we love the original Creep Show, and I love Creep Show 2.
Yeah, Creep Show 2 is great too. It's not as good as Creep Show 1, but it's still fun to watch.
Yeah, definitely so. Oh, I can't wait to see that, man. I hope that they do the original movie series justice.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, so those are our recommendations for the top 3 flicks you should be watching on Shudder. You guys be sure to drop a comment and let us know what we are to be watching so that we can check it out.
You can reach us on Twitter and Instagram at DeadLovelyPod. You can find us on Facebook, the Dead and Lovely Horror Movie Podcast group. You also could find us at the best place in the whole wide world, patreon.com/dead and lovely,
where dreams come true, vibrato. Are we ghosts? We have ghosts.
We
die. Vibrato. We need your money to come back. Got stuck a little bit there.
Rattling chains.
You guys be sure to subscribe to this channel and ring-a-ding the bell for notifications every time we put up a new slice of fried gold right here on the channel. And of course, be sure to listen to the greatest podcast known in all the multiverse, Dead and Lovely, on your favorite podcast app.
If you can't find our podcast, you might be a redneck.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you guys next time.
Bye. Ooh, we don't have to say we're going to be doing Creep Show because I don't want to give some other podcast ideas, but just sort of put it in people's minds, and then when we do it, they'll be like, what the fuck? We were just thinking about that. No, you weren't. We made you think about it.